Welcome to subtracting integers. This is probably something a little different than you've done in the past. So let's just start with the very basics. If we had a positive minus a positive number where the first digit is larger, for example 5 minus 3, alright, we already know that equals 2. But let's just look at that on a number line. Alright. If we are here at 5 and we're subtracting 3, when we subtract a positive, we're going to the left. So we're really subtracting a positive 3, and that would get us to the digit 2. Alright, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright. What if we were subtracting a positive minus a negative? For example, 5 minus negative 3. Let's look at that on the number line. So here we are at 5. Now, if I'm subtracting a negative, that's really the opposite of subtracting a positive. So instead of going to the left, this means that I have to go to the right. 1, 2, 3. And I would be here at 8. So subtracting a negative means I'm going in the opposite direction than I would with a positive integer. If I was subtracting a negative minus a positive, for example, negative 5 minus 3, and we're on the number line. Alright, we have our 0 here. Here's my negative 5. So if I'm subtracting a positive, this is really just taking positive 3 away. I would be moving to the left on the number line, and that would put me at negative 8. So this would equal negative 8. If I had a negative minus a negative, for example, negative 5 minus negative 3. Let's look at that on our number line. So we have our 0 here and negative 5. So I'm subtracting a negative, alright, not adding, I mean I'm subtracting a negative. That means I have to go to the right, alright. This is subtracting a negative, and I would be here at negative 2. Alright? This equals negative 2. So when we subtract a positive, we go to the left on the number line. If we subtract a negative, we go to the right on the number line. They are the opposite, alright? It does take a little getting used to. The good news, however, excuse the bell please, is we have a shortcut for subtraction, luckily. And what the shortcut is to turn all of the problems to addition problems. Alright? So let's talk about that. For example, if we had 5 minus negative 3, this is subtracting 5 minus negative 3. What we're really going to do is we keep this very first number the same. We're not going to change anything here. We're going to change our subtraction to addition. What we're going to do with this next term is we're going to take the opposite. Alright? So 5 stays the same. Subtraction changes to addition. And this is a negative 3. So the opposite of negative 3 would be positive 3. And 5 plus 3 equals 8. And if you look at that on your number line, our problem we did earlier, you'll see that the answer was 8. if we have negative 5 minus 3, so now we have a negative minus a positive here, all right? We can use the same add opposite. And I just kind of look at the S from same, A and O. So I just put an S under the first term, A, change to addition, and I put an O. So I just use that little mnemonic SAO for same, add, and this 3 here is a positive 3, so I would be doing negative 3. And now I revert back to my integer rules for addition. If you remember, if we had a negative plus a negative, we just add the two numbers together, which is an 8, and a negative plus a negative is always a negative. All right, great. Let's go ahead and try a negative minus a positive. So negative 5 minus 3. And let's just write our little mnemonic below the terms there. So negative 5 stays the same. Subtraction turns to addition. And this is a positive 3, so it now becomes a negative 3. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing the same problem here, aren't I? I apologize. Let's change this to a negative 3 here. All right. I'm sorry. So if we have negative 5 minus negative 3, we're going to change this negative 3 to a positive 3. And again, we switch back to our addition rules now that this is an addition problem. So if we were adding a negative and a positive, we subtract and take the sign of the larger number. 5 was negative, so our answer is negative 2. All right. Let's try one where we have a positive minus a positive, 3 minus 12, but notice the second term is larger than the first term. So we can still change this to an addition problem, doing same, add, opposite. So this first number stays the same, and this is addition. Now 12 is a positive number, so we're going to change that to negative 12. So now I have a negative and a positive. So what is the rule for adding a negative and a positive? It's subtracting. So 12 minus 3 is 9. And our larger number 12 was negative. So this would have been negative 9. All right. So let's just kind of review for our subtraction. The shortcut is to turn your problems to addition. Keep your first term the same. Change addition to subtraction. And then change the sign of the second number. All right. So let's try a few together. What if we have 4 minus negative 5? So the first number would stay the same. We would change this to addition. Negative 5 would now become positive 5, and that would equal 9. If we have negative 12 minus 5, we keep this the same, change to addition, and this positive 5 now becomes a negative 5. So a negative plus a negative always adds up to another negative. If we have 14 minus negative 3, again it's going to be same, add, opposite, and 14 plus 3 is 17. If we have negative 21 minus negative 5, keep this first one the same, change to addition, and take the opposite of that integer, which would be positive 5. I'm adding a negative and a positive, so I subtract, so that would be 16. Larger number is negative, so this would be negative 16. And if I have 3 minus 19, here with your second term, they're both positive, but the second term is larger. We can still turn this into an addition problem with adding opposites. So remember, 19 minus 3 is going to be 16, and the larger number was negative, so the answer would be negative 16. Thanks so much for checking in. Hope you enjoy subtracting integers.